At 5:12 a.m. on Wednesday, April 18, 1906, the city of San Francisco was hit by one of the most violent earthquakes in American history. It lasted for less than a minute, but it reshaped the city forever. This is the story of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, its unimaginable destruction, and the long road to recovery. By the late 18 to early 1900s, San Francisco was booming. It was one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. It was the gateway to the Pacific, a hub for banking, shipping, and trade. San Francisco was one of the most densely packed cities west of Chicago. The city sat directly on the San Andreas Fault, a major tectonic boundary stretching approximately 800 miles throughout California. Scientists did not know much about it at the time, but fear had been building for decades. It was still dark on the morning of the 18th. People were fast asleep or getting ready for their day, when suddenly the earth began to shake. At 5:12 a.m., a foreshock rattled San Francisco for around 20 seconds, just long enough to jolt people awake, and then the real chaos began. The main earthquake struck, lasting between 45 and 60 seconds, though survivors would later say it felt like forever. Modern estimates rate it as a magnitude 7.8 quake, with some researchers suggesting it may have been as high as 7.9. Witnesses described the city rolling like waves on the ocean, with bricks raining from the sky, streetcar tracks bending, and the ground opening and swallowing fences and sidewalks. Homes collapsed instantly. Gas lines ruptured, water mains snapped, entire sections of the city were thrown into chaos. Some parts of the San Andreas Fault shifted 20 feet or more, one of the largest shifts ever recorded. By the time the earthquake finally stopped, San Francisco was already in ruins. Thousands of buildings had collapsed. Homes, businesses, apartment houses, all reduced to rubble. But the true disaster had only just begun. The quake had damaged the city's utility lines. Within minutes, small fires erupted in kitchens and from broken gas mains across the city. Under normal circumstances, firefighters could have controlled the fires. But the earthquake cut the city's water lines, and rubble blocked the streets. To make matters worse, the city's fire chief, Dennis Sullivan, was severely injured during the earthquake. He later died from his wounds. No one knew it yet, but the fires would eventually burn for 3 straight days, destroying far more than the earthquake itself. Early reports severely underestimated the tragedy, but historians estimate the death toll at over 3,000 people. It remains one of the deadliest natural disasters in United States history. Tens of thousands of people were injured, and nearly 250,000 people, half of the city's population, were now homeless. In the hours following the earthquake, San Francisco looked like a war zone. Buildings were cracked and twisted. Downtown was a maze of debris. Roads were blocked. Telegraph wires were down, and communication with the outside world was nearly impossible. Mayor Eugene Schmitz declared martial law, allowing soldiers and police to enforce strict emergency rule. Looting was a major fear, and in some cases, troops were ordered to shoot looters on sight.
The federal troops which are now policing a portion of the city, as well as the regular and special members of the police force, have been authorized by me to kill any persons whomsoever found engaged in looting the effects of any citizen or otherwise engaged in the commission of crime.
Despite the chaos, ordinary citizens began helping one another. Rescue efforts sprang up immediately, neighbors pulling neighbors out of the wreckage, forming bucket lines and guiding the injured to makeshift camps. The destruction was staggering. Nearly 28,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. Fires burned around 490 city blocks. Roughly 4 square miles were completely burned. The financial cost in 1906 dollars was estimated between $350 million and $500 million, equivalent to over $9 billion today. Columns of smoke towered over neighborhoods. Over 30 small fires had ignited across the city, fires that soon merged into a single, unstoppable inferno. Without water pressure, firefighters attempted to pull water from the bay, but hoses could not reach high enough or far enough. Soldiers and fire crews turned to explosives, using them to level buildings ahead of the fire line in an effort to create fire breaks. The explosions often did more harm than good, setting new fires instead of stopping them. It was a desperate battle, one that they were quickly losing. By the afternoon of the 18th, huge sections of downtown were engulfed. Flames leapt from building to building. At night, the city skyline glowed bright red, visible from ships miles out in the Pacific. By the morning of the 19th, the fires had merged into what newspapers would call the Great Fire, and describe it as a fury of hell. Tens of thousands fled their homes, often with nothing but the clothes on their backs. People fled to Golden Gate Park and the Presidio, as well as beaches and open fields. They would become massive refugee camps. Canvas tents were brought in to house the refugees. After 3 full days, the fires began to burn out. But when the smoke cleared, the true scale of the disaster became visible. San Francisco was a wasteland. Entire neighborhoods, Chinatown, the waterfront, and downtown were wiped out. Walking through the ruins, one reporter wrote, "Nothing remained, nothing but chimneys." The death toll is believed to be over 3,000, but many believe the true number may have been far higher due to incomplete records, missing persons, and politically motivated undercounting. The immediate priority was survival. Temporary cities sprang up across the city. Rows of canvas tents provided shelter for families, businesses, and emergency services. The camps became communities, complete with schools, medical tents, sanitation rules, and even makeshift shops. By the summer of 1906, the Army began constructing thousands of earthquake cottages, small wooden homes designed to give families more stable shelter. Some of them still survive to this day. In order to rebuild, the city had to rethink every essential service: water, gas, electricity, sewage, and transportation. The earthquake exposed San Francisco's biggest vulnerabilities. Engineers focused on restoring and improving the water supply. Pipes were replaced, new systems were built, and took shape in the years that followed. Streetcars, telegraph, and telephone lines were restored. The financial impact from the disaster reached far beyond San Francisco. Insurance companies had been swamped with an enormous amount of claims. So many that several insurance companies went bankrupt due to the disaster. A major debate erupted over whether damage had been caused by the earthquake or fire, since most policies covered fire but not seismic events. After long negotiations, many companies paid at least partial claims. The flood of insurance money, combined with private investment and federal assistance, helped finance one of the largest reconstruction projects in American history. But for many working-class families, especially immigrants, compensation was slow or never arrived. One of the most remarkable stories was the rebirth of Chinatown. The district had been almost completely destroyed. City leaders initially proposed relocating the Chinese community to the far south of the city, but Chinatown's residents and businesses fought back. Chinatown was rebuilt. For much of the city, stone, steel, and reinforced concrete replaced much of the city's earlier wooden construction. By 1908, just 2 years after the disaster, the city had rebuilt more than half of its commercial structures. In 1915, San Francisco hosted the Panama Pacific International Exposition. The 1906 earthquake transformed scientists' understanding of earthquakes and faults. Modern seismology was born. Behind every statistic, there was a human story. Families who lost everything. Workers who rebuilt their businesses from nothing. Immigrants who refused to leave the neighborhoods they called home. Firefighters who fought bravely, and doctors who saved countless lives. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake remains one of the deadliest natural disasters in U.S. history, with over 3,000 deaths and destruction totaling over $9 billion today. The earthquake stands as one of the most defining disasters in American history and a reminder of nature's power and of human determination. I want to thank you all for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next. Peace.